ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले स्वामी नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome everyone. Before we start the class, just wanted to mention today is also the day of the beautiful darshan of Lord Jagannath in his Sunabesh. Sunabesh means his golden dress. So Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra, Sudarshan ji have come back in their return Rath Yatra. They have come back to Jagannath Mandir. Yesterday there was a beautiful Leela of offering of sweets to Jagannath. So there is this beautiful pastime between Lakshmi Devi, keeps Jagannath outside. She's angry that he went to beat the gopis of Vrindavan. So all the devotees of the Lord are very possessive of the Lord. But the Lord is very expert. He knows how to make everybody happy. And because the Lord is so unlimited, the Lord is able to do that. We cannot. So we should not imitate such activities of the Lord. The Lord is the ultimate proprietor, well-wisher, friend of all living entities and all his energies and all his expansions. So for the Lord, everything is perfect. He does everything perfectly for the ultimate good of everyone. So some of these things should not be imitated, but should be appreciated to understand how the Lord is so limitless and how his affection for his devotees and his energies and his anga, upanga, astra, so amazing. Anyway, so just I think it's probably still going on. Until just half an hour ago, I was seeing the live telecast of this beautiful darshan of Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra still on their chariots outside Jagannath temple, giving beautiful darshan with gold decoration. So they are decorated as very, very opulent kings. So they're just outside Jagannath Mandir. So it's a very beautiful darshan. You can probably check out the videos later. So also yesterday was the wonderful occasion of Shayana Ekadashi Tithi. So Shayana Ekadashi is also considered important. It's also known as Ashad Ekadashi because it is the month of Ashad. So the Chaturmas period is going on for 4 months. So it is said that from Shayana Ekadashi up to the Kartik Ekadashi, it is said Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who lies on the milk ocean, he takes a nap. Of course, not to worry that who will be hearing my prayers when the Lord is taking a nap. So Lord's nap is not like our nap. So he's in Yoga Nidra, so he's always anyway conscious of everything. So that was another important tithi yesterday, and especially in Chaturmas, it is traditionally in all schools within the Sanatan Dharma traditions, they all try to increase their austerities in various ways. The traveling itinerant sadhus, preachers, sannyasis during the Chaturmas typically stay in one place rather than traveling around and perform extra austerities and bhajan. So according to your capacity, you can also try to adopt whatever extra austerity. So you can read up on Chaturmas, Vrata and all that if you want online. I'm not going to go into those discussions. I'm just bringing up some points in case I forget later to mention them. So having said all this, we'll bring our discussion back to the focus of the class today. So we are on the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Attaining the Supreme. And we are aiming to complete the discussion on the 8th chapter today. We have spent, I think, 2 or 3 classes already on the 8th chapter. And we have come to a very beautiful point in the 8th chapter where Krishna has explained to Arjun how through the process of Yoga Mishra Bhakti one can actually achieve transcendental realization. But he has also hinted that at the end of the day, if a person is my pure devotee, then actually his process for my realization becomes very simple. He doesn't have to go through so much trouble. And then at verse 16, which we ended last time, the Lord says a very beautiful thing. Abrahma bhonal loka punar avartino Arjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Arjuna, please understand that at the end of the day, if you want to achieve a lasting eternal destination, that is possible only when you attain my abode. Other than that, any other abode, even of the Devatas, even all the way up to Lord Brahma, Brahma, Vana Loka, Punar Avartino, you have to come back and again be born, birth, old age, disease, death, birth, old age, disease, death. So the miseries of material existence extend everywhere. So all other destinations aren't really worthy of our efforts. Even though some of them are so much more glorious than earth and so much more purer and they have wonderful qualities, but at the end of the day, birth, old age, disease, death, one is still not free from material entanglement. One is still entrapped in the false ego as long as one is entrapped in a material body. Brahma, Vonal Loka, Punar Avartino Arjuna. But Mam Upetya Tu. Tu means but. Krishna is saying, but if you attain me, it is different. How is it different? If you attain my abode, Punar Janma na Vidyate. There is no rebirth. So Krishna has hinted the material world, any place in the material world, all the way up to Brahma Loka, problem. My abode, free from problems for eternity. So even as yogis, Krishna wants to also emphasize that advanced yogis can choose their destination, but one must choose one's destination wisely. Even within the realm of the material universe, there are so many pure planets also, where great souls reside, especially above the Swargalok. Of course, Swargalok also the Devatas are pious, but still it is a place of material enjoyment. But higher than that, Janarlok, Maharlok, Tapolok, Satyalok, great sages, Munis, austere, knowledgeable, peaceful. But even there, birth and death are not going to leave us. So Krishna is very clear. Says Arjun, this is the key consideration, and that is why the yogis have to be very clear about what they want to achieve. And now in the next few verses, Krishna elaborates what he has hinted at in the 16th chapter. The next 3 verses he focuses on expanding on this material manifestation, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, that he has mentioned. And then a few verses later, he focuses on the transcendental destination, the spiritual world. And then in the last section of this particular chapter, the Lord goes into the importance of timing for attainment of a transcendental destination for yogis in general, and the non-importance of timing of departure for devotees in particular. So that's a very interesting point also, which will be discussed, which will come towards the end of this chapter. So those are the areas that we'll be focusing on. So the Lord starts by explaining the manifestation of this material world in very brief. Sahasra yuga paryantam aharyad brahmano viduhu ratrim yuga sahasrantam te ahoratra vido janaha. Arjuna, please understand that 1,000 cycles of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar and Kali, these 4 together is known as the Divya Yuga. 1,000 such Divya Yuga form one day of Brahma, day meaning daytime. And similar duration of time is his night. So Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. Together they form roughly around 4.3 million years. This into 1,000, which is 4.32 billion years, is the daytime of Brahma, and 4.32 billion years is the night time of Brahma. And what happens day and what happens in the night? Avyakta vyaktaya sarva prabhavantya aharagame ratrayagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta sangyake. At the beginning of the day of Brahma, and we have discussed this in the Bhagavatam a few times, how at the beginning Brahmaji, with the knowledge that he has acquired from the Lord, creates and manifests the material manifestation, especially all the various planetary systems. And as night falls, he closes his office. All the lights are off, there is kind of a pralaya of one sort. And they are all unmanifested for some time until he sleeps, and then he wakes up again and then he starts again. So at the beginning of the day, the living entities become manifest. Then at night, they become unmanifest. And come day again they become manifest. So the key point is here, it's not so much the technicality which is important, but what Krishna is trying to emphasize is material world is about bhutva bhutva praliyate. Again and again. At all levels, whether at a micro level for our own body or at a macro level at the universal level. Creation, destruction is a cycle we cannot escape. And don't think that even Brahma is immune to it. Even at the end of, this is the day of Brahma, right? 4.32 billion years, night, day and night. Such one complete day, Lord Brahma lives for 100 such years. And after that, what happens? Even he has to die. That is why whoever asuras have approached Lord Brahma and asked for immortality, Brahmaji has told them, how can I give you something which I myself do not have? The soul is immortal, but in the material world, any kind of body is created and has to perish. Krishna has already said right in the 2nd chapter, whatever is born has to die. So it's a continuous cycle, and that is what the Lord is emphasizing. This will continue again and again. Bhutagrama sa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate. Bhutva means again and again, repeatedly taking birth, Ratragame avashah partha prabhavantyah ragame. Again and again, Brahma's day comes, manifestation, Brahma's night comes, the living entities, their bodies are helplessly annihilated. Of course, the karma of the living entities is still preserved. And when again the daytime is there, a suitable body based on that karma is given. So, the sad news for us is not that when it is night time of Brahma, everything is destroyed. My karmic records are also clean. So next time I can start with, doesn't work like that, sadly for us. All of this is preserved. Our desires are also preserved. See, that is why the scriptures are very clear. You cannot escape karma either through suicide or through dissolution of the universe. No. Whatever karma, whatever avidya we have, avidya cannot be destroyed by any other means other than transcendental knowledge. And avidya is manifested as our fruitive activity, desire, our karmas, our material affiliations. So Krishna has summarily described the material manifestation, saying this is a continuous cycle, and birth, old age, disease, and death are the main problems of life. These are the problems that nobody can avoid and overcome. Even Brahma cannot. What to speak of anybody else? In fact, material life itself means a continuous, practically uninterrupted dealing with problems. Isn't it? You ask anybody who's doing any work in this world, whether at home or in the corporate job or any job for that matter, we are all perpetually in a problem solving mode. Everybody is working hard to solve some problem or the other. In India, there's a common saying, everybody is struggling for roti, kapda and makan. Makan in Malaysia and makan in India means something different. So roti means food. Roti in India means makan in Malaysia. In the Bahasa language. Kapda, clothes, and makan, a place to stay. At the end of the day, everybody is working hard to maintain themselves. That's the key idea. Maintain the body. If one is comfortable in the body, the mind has a problem. Dealing with the mind, dealing with emotions, protecting them, defending them. One's whole life is a struggle. Prakriti sthane karshati. Krishna has already said. In the Bhagavad Gita, he said karshati. Karshati means struggles. It's a struggle. Sometimes people think that, oh, why the scriptures are so negative? You must have a positive outlook to life. Yes, the Bhagavad Gita is most positive. Because the Bhagavad Gita doesn't want to keep you in the illusion to say that a miserable place, you just try to forget it's a misery and try to imagine it is happy. Bhagavad Gita is giving you a real positive alternative. So it is the most positive philosophy. And it is most positive because it is giving an alternative which is eternal. That is what Krishna is talking here. He's not giving a temporary alternative. Take a short vacation for 4 days. Go to a beach resort, you'll feel nice. That is like going to the heavenly planets for some time and then coming back. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. That is not the advice that Krishna is giving. Krishna is giving the advice how one can overcome the karshati problem, which is at the end of the day, this continuous birth, old age, disease, death, birth, old age, disease, death. Prakriti sthani karshati. And Krishna immediately gives the positive alternative. See, yes, it is true. One should not go on discussing problems. If one doesn't have a solution, there's no point just going on brooding on the problem. But immediately after stating the problem, the very next verse, Krishna is giving a concrete, positive alternative. And the contemplation of the negativity of the world is to create the right impetus in us to recognize the nature of the problem so that we actually take the solution seriously. Because as long as we maintain the hope that somehow, someday, I will fix this world. What does it mean, fix this world? I will come to a position where I will be really happy. If not the world, at least I'll fix my life. Has anybody fixed his life? Even the greatest of devotees, from a material perspective, have never been able to fix their life. Even the greatest of the yogis and the devotees and the jnanis. You look at their lives, you look at the Pandavas, you look at any great devotee for that matter, or any great person in this world. Nobody escapes the struggle of material existence. You cannot be in this world and not be affected, or not be, I shouldn't say be affected, and not be subjected to the conditions of this world. Yes, by elevation of consciousness, one can be not affected. But why not look for a place where these conditions do not exist at all? So I like a very beautiful saying. I contemplate on this very often. So in that particular saying, one, sorry, somebody is not on mute. Okay, fixed it. Mr. Redmi is not on mute. Yes, I have muted Redmi. So, in this world, if we are continuously subjected to rains and showers, right now in Bombay at least, there's a lot of rains, in fact, a lot of flooding. Even if one is inside the house, even if one has an umbrella, raincoat, whatever, at the end of the day, one still has to face the problems of the rain. So how can one not be affected by the rain? So an out of the box thinking is, out of the box in a very novel way. The traditional way is, oh, have an umbrella, have a raincoat. At the end of the day, no matter how much you try, the water is going to be there outside. There will be flooding outside. There will be a mess outside. It will restrict you and your life. But we don't realize that there is one place where one can be all the time free from this trouble of rains. So it is said, what one needs to do? One simply needs to go above the clouds. So even if you're at the same place, if you go above the clouds, what happens? The rain comes from the clouds, you go above the clouds, so you can see bright sunshine. When you are under the clouds, then you are subject to everything under the clouds, the rain, the darkness. So as long as one is in the environment where all these factors are active, one will be subjected. But by transcending this material existence, one can come to a state where one is unaffected. And that is why Krishna is hinting at that as the solution. He says in 8.20, Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaha sasarva sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu navinashyati. But, Krishna is saying, but means this is miserable. But there is another nature where all this mess is not there, which is unmanifested, eternal, paraha, transcendental bhavaha, transcendental spiritual existence, anyaha, not this, another, beyond, which is eternally existing, avyakta, vyaktat sanatanaha. It is beyond this continuously created, destroyed, and created, destroyed, this material manifestation, which is bhutva, bhutva, praliyate. And that existence is never destroyed, even though this entire material manifestation may be destroyed. Yah sa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. It is eternal. It is unaffected by material time. So Krishna is saying, see, this is the alternative. Krishna is not simply giving a problem, he is immediately giving the solution. Avyakto akshara iti uktas tam ahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Very beautiful. That place, which the Vedantists, those who are knowledgeable in the spiritual truths, they describe as avyakta, never created, never manifested in time, and akshara, never affected by time, that which doesn't decay, which is infallible. Tam ahu, that is called like that, and that is the paramam gatim, that is the supreme destination. And that should be the desirable destination. Why? Yam prapya na nivartante, having attained which one never comes back. That is my supreme abode. Tad dhamam paramam mamma. Dhama means home, abode. So Krishna is saying, I have an abode. Brahma has an abode, Brahmalok. Indra has an abode, Indralok. All the devatas have their abodes. But all the abodes in the material world, even of the devatas, bhutva bhutva praliyate, abrahma bhuvana loka punar avartino, nothing is permanent. But my abode is avyakta, akshara, paramam gatim. And having gone where, one never comes back to this material world. That beautiful abode of the Lord within the Vaikuntha realm, especially the personal planet of the Lord, Goloka Vrindavan, is described very beautifully. Chinta mani prakarasadma sukalpa vriksha. So very beautiful. There's a very beautiful verse in the Brahma Samhita, which describes that the whole abode is spiritual. Even the stones there are Chintamani. They are not ordinary stones made of silica and ordinary dirt. Every speck of dust is like Chintamani. This is known as Chintamani Dhama. Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambram Sevyamanam Venum Konandam Aravinda Dalayataksham. And Krishna is standing there with his flute under this beautiful Kalpavraksha tree, surrounded by his eternal beautiful associates who have eternal spiritual bodies. They are eternally enjoying his association and glorifying him and performing beautiful pastimes. So that is the desirable location. That is the positive alternative. So Krishna is giving the positive alternative. And he's saying, oh, my dear living entities, that place is actually not just my home, dham. If it is my home, since you are all my parts, it is also your home. Isn't it? Our parents' home is also our home, right? And Krishna is our eternal father. Pitahamasya jagata dhata mata pitamaha. The father is the mother, is the grandfather. He wants us to come back to his home. And a replica of that supreme abode in the spiritual sky has been manifested in this material world as the Vrindavan Dham, where Krishna descends and performs his beautiful pastimes. And that Supreme Lord who stays in that abode, how one can actually attain him? Krishna speaks in the next verse. Purusha sa paraha partha. That supreme person who stays in that supreme abode. Bhaktya labhyastvananyaya is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Bhaktya, very clear, very explicit. How is that supreme person and supreme abode attainable? How is that alternative attained? Yes, you may do so many other things to elevate your consciousness, but at the end of the day, you must come to the point of developing pure loving devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhaktya labhyas tu ananyaya. Ananyaya means exclusive, focused devotion to Him. Initially, our devotion may not be focused, but as we make more and more spiritual advancement, as we understand chapter 7, Krishna says, what is the natural consequence of understanding 7? Oh, you will fall in love with me. He'll say, wow, this guy is too good. In fact, everything is within him. And he is within everything. How can I not love him? He is the soul of my soul. He is the Param Atma. He is the very substratum of all existence. He is my source. He is everybody's source. He is the eternal principle connecting everybody. We discussed in the previous chapter. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Surut Prabhu Pralaya Sthanam Nidanam Bijam Avyayam. That is how the yogis understand him. Wow. So far out. He's my nourisher. He's my destination. He's my source. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. At the end, one comes to that and one falls in love. And then this Ananya Bhakti becomes possible because one is so clear that there is nothing else. All that is there is Bhagavan, Bhakta, and Bhakti. That is the conclusion of one who has achieved the vision of Vasudeva Sarvam. So if somebody has really understood 7th chapter, then he would have come to this point. Otherwise, you still have to read a few more times. But we must study in the association of devotees who have the proper understanding. Otherwise, we will not achieve that understanding, no matter how many times we read it. And again, Krishna emphasizes in the next 2 lines of this verse, Yasyantastani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. Krishna goes on repeating this again and again in the Bhagavad Gita. He wants to make us make sure that we understand that true understanding of him means everything is within him and he is within everything. And now this is a recurring thing that Krishna will go on telling. And that is why Krishna is so amazing. He's so inconceivable. Yasyanta bhutani, although he is present in the abode, Krishna is saying he is in the. So immediately somebody will think, oh, Krishna is present in his abode. Oh, he is somewhere far away. Good. God is in his abode. Let him be happy there. Let me be happy here. Got rid of him. You be there and you play your flute. Let me do my business here. Don't bother me. No. Yasyantasthani bhutani. Yena sarvam idam tatam. But simultaneously, everything is within him and he is within everything. Pashyame yogam aishwaram. The similar thought is mentioned in another chapter where the Lord says, see my mystic opulence, Arjun. This is my nature. Everything is within me. And I'm impersonally present within everything, but me as the Supreme Person is still existing outside in my abode. One who understands this has understood Krishna. One who has understood this has understood Krishna. Understood what? Let me repeat again. Even though yasyantasthani hi bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. Krishna has said, I am in my abode, but everything is still within me. And I am still within everything else. So one has to understand how all these 3 statements are simultaneously true. Because at face value, all these three statements seem mutually exclusive, as they say in mathematical terms. God is in his abode. What does it mean? Oh, he's not here. So Krishna is saying, no, everything is within me. Oh, everything is inside of God. That means he's not inside everything. Krishna said, no. I am also inside everything. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindam adi purusham tamam bhajami. So Krishna is so inconceivable, the supreme absolute truth, so wonderfully everywhere in everything. He is the very fabric of all existence through his personal and impersonal energies. So amazing. And this is the understanding we must come to be able to properly understand him tattvataha. And then, having understood that and understood Vasudeva Samamiti, one will love him as the Supreme Person in the right way with the right understanding. So this brings us to the end of this particular section. Now we will go to the remaining part, verse 23 onwards. Now, having explained, Krishna has explained, you have to think of me. And in a yogic position like this, you have to give up your body, fixed in the realization of transcendence, and then the yogi can attain the supreme destination. And he has also said, for my devotee, he has said earlier also, it's very easy for him to attain. He doesn't have to struggle and go through all these difficult processes. Now, Krishna is going to especially explain with respect to leaving the body in terms of attaining the transcendental destination. When you say transcendental, the transcendental destination begins with Brahman and goes up to Goloka Vrindavan. So some yogis just want to merge into the Lord's effulgence and be there situated in that divine light of the all-pervading presence of the effulgence of God. So that's also transcendental attainment, known as Brahman. So Krishna is now going to explain the two processes. Summarily, they are said to be the process of light and the process of darkness. Light means that process having followed which, or that journey having taken which, one doesn't come back to the material world. So how yogis can quit this world in a way that they don't come back to this material world, and in what circumstances, if yogis quit their world, they will still come back to this material world. And this is especially mentioned in terms of time and the influence of certain deities. So let us see first what Krishna says. I'll go through a few verses and then we'll discuss them together. So 8.23. Yatra kale tu anavrittim avrittim chaiva yoginah rayata yanti tam kalam vakshami bharatarshava. O best of the Bharatas, Bharatarshava, I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world, the yogi does or does not come back. Which means, based on the time, now this is not talking about ordinary yogis. This is talking about yogis who have already attained a transcendental realization. Even for them. Now Krishna is talking about those yogis who are not devotees here in these verses. Okay, and then he'll talk about devotees after a couple of verses. So he's talking about those who are Brahman realized and those who follow the process that I had described earlier. What is the importance of when to leave the body so that they attain the supreme destination? Because that is also apparently important. Correct? Yeah. Just like if you want to go abroad, you may say, yes, I'm able to go abroad. I have the visa, I have the ticket. You may have all of that. But you still have to reach the airport at the right time to catch the right flight. cannot say I have visa and I have ticket, so I am flying right away. No. There is a system. There is a mechanism. The universe works in a particular way. Even to escape the universe, even for a Brahman realized soul, there is a system. Because the path that is created for escape or transcending is also controlled and ruled by various deities. So Krishna now explains for those yogis who haven't yet achieved a perfect state of devotion, especially the karma yogis, jnana yogis, hatha yogis, who have come to the point of some transcendental realization but short of pure devotion. So first he explains based on what time and circumstances, if such a person who's Brahman realized transcends the material world and goes to the transcendental realm. So 24 he says, Agnir Jyotir Aha Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Vido Janaha. Those who know the Supreme Brahman. So this verse applies to not anybody who passes at this time. So you cannot say, oh, my uncle, my grandmother, my grandfather, my friend passed away. Oh, he passed away in Shukla Paksha, passed away in this, according to what Krishna describes. So he must have gone to Vaikuntha. No. Just because you arrive at the airport at the time doesn't mean you can board the flight. Do you have the visa and the ticket? So Brahma Gyan is the visa and the ticket. Correct? Just because you made it at that time, so I have come 3 hours before the departure of the flight. Please let me check in. But I don't have visa, I don't have ticket. But I have come at the right time. Yeah. Is that going to be a very good argument? No. So one cannot transcend the material world simply based on dying at a particular time. So please don't misunderstand this verse. Of course, certain times, if they are auspicious and a person leaves the body at that auspicious time, obviously there will be some auspicious benefit. But transcending the material world is an altogether different thing. This is referring to those who know the Supreme Brahman. So those who know the Supreme Brahman attain that Brahman if they pass away from the world during the influence of Agni, the fiery god. At an auspicious time in light and during the fortnight of the waxing moon, Shukla Paksha, and either in Shukla Paksha or during the Uttarayan, when the sun travels in the north. Okay, so one is auspicious time. Okay? So avoid Rahu Kalam, avoid Kala Ratri, all these inauspicious times, inauspicious nakshatras. Then also, fiery god at in the light means daytime. Either in Shukla Paksha or if you cannot match Shukla Paksha, at least in Uttarayan. Ahar Shukla Shanmasa Uttarayana, the 6 months of the Uttarayan. Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma, Brahma Vido Janaha, Gachanti Brahma, they attain Brahman. Who? Brahma Vido Janaha, those who know Brahman. So you had the ticket, you had the visa, you reach the airport on the time, you check in, then you can go to Brahman. So this is also important. So for the yogis, they also have to know this process. Because if they don't, what will happen? They will fall into the 8.25 category. Dhumoratris tatha Krishna Shanamasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandrama Samjyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate. If the yogi takes a different path, when he passes away from the world, not according to the previous circumstances, but rather when there is an influence of smoke, night, during the Krishna Paksha, the waning moon, or during Dakshinayan, instead of attaining the supreme destination of Brahman, the yogi will attain the heavenly planets, especially the Chandraloka. This is what is mentioned here. Tatra Chandramasam Jyotir. Yogi Prapya Nivarta. He goes there, enjoys, and has to come back and again try. Second chance, third chance, fourth chance. That will go on. Because those who are purified, Chandralok is a place where elevated souls go. Of course, the life on moon, you may say, oh, I can see the moon through a telescope, but I don't see it's all so dry and so arid. But life on heavenly planets is not gross life like here. Earth life is amongst the most grossest. The heavenly planets are very subtle. So within the realm of the Chandralok, there will be a lot of subtle life which is not visible to us with this material eyes. And those elevated souls who are living within that realm. So Chandralok is said to be the place where the Somaras is available. Somapaha Putapapaha. So some people say that, oh, Somaras is the liquor of the Devatas. So they think that it is some intoxicating beverage. No, it is not. So please, anybody who has that misconception that Somaras is a liquor which or an alcohol, it is absolutely not. Somapa Puta Papaha. Somapa means those who drink the Somaras, they become free from all sins. Those who drink liquor, they become addicted to all sins. It's exactly the opposite. So Somaras is a particular elixir. You understand the word elixir? Elixir is a particular special tonic, we can call it, which is extremely revitalizing for the body and the mind and the senses. So when one drinks that Somaras, it is so invigorating and energizing that the mind, body and the senses become so energized, one feels so happy and blissful. There's nothing like the stupor and the mode of ignorance that intoxicating beverages produce. Somaras is enlivening and invigorating. So Krishna summarizes in 8.26 these two processes. Shukla Krishne gatir yete jagata shashvate mate ekaya yati anavrittim anyaya vartate punaha. So Arjuna, I have explained summarily these two paths, one in Shukla Paksha, one in Krishna Paksha. These two paths of trying to attain the Supreme. In one path, one achieves the Supreme and doesn't come back. And the other path, one attains a temporary destination, has to come back and try again to attain the Supreme destination. A similar description of this process and these two paths is also given in Chandogya Upanishad. So Krishna summarily is saying that timing is important for these yogis. Now immediately Krishna puts a but in the next verse. So let's see the but. You see, always Krishna will describe certain things and then he will put a but. Why he is putting a but? He's putting a but because there's a special category of those who are very dear to Krishna, for whom Krishna has special arrangements always. Correct? For example, I may say, I like everybody. I am okay with everybody. But my family members, I love them very much. Correct? So similarly, Krishna also, even though he is equal to all, for his devotees, he is especially affectionate. Samoham sarva bhuteshu namadveshyosti na priya ye bhajante tumam bhaktya. Those who worship me with love, I am in them and they are in me. So Krishna says in 8.27, Naite Sriti Partha Janan Yogi Muhyatti Kaschana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Bhavarjuna. Those who are my devotees, Arjun, they are not bewildered or confused about these two paths. What does it mean? They are never bewildered means they don't have to scratch their head. Now Shukla Paksha, now Krishna Paksha, now which Devata's influence is there? Now should I leave? Should I not? Should I tell doctor somehow extend my life? Still night time is there. I want the Brahma Muhurta to start. I want the sun to rise. I want auspicious time. Getting astrologers and giving the doctor all possible time windows. Then one will be in so much frustration, one will forget Brahman and collapse back into material world, even if he matches the time. So that bewilderment is not there for the devotees. They are never bewildered. Why? Yoga Yukta. Because they are fixed in devotion to me. And that is why Arjuna always become fixed in me. Because those who are fixed in me do not have to worry about this consideration. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharyan upayunjatah. If one becomes detached from all material things and is focused on Krishna consciousness, by this yukta vairagya, if one lives, then one doesn't have to worry about all these various considerations. Why? Because when one becomes devoted to the Lord, one becomes very dear to the Lord. Then the arrangements for the devotee's deliverance are no longer dependent on the self-effort and arrangement of the yogi. Krishna takes it upon himself to make the arrangements. And Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita elsewhere. He says, Tesham aham samuddartha mrityu samsara vartmani bhavamina achirat partha maya veshita chetasam. Those whose minds are fixed, attached to me, my devotees. Tesham aham samuddartha. For them, I, he says personally, aham samuddartha. I deliver them. I deliver them where? From material world to spiritual world. That path of transcending is my responsibility. They don't have to bother about visa. They don't have to bother about ticket. They don't have to bother what time they reach the airport. What I will do? I send my personal Garuda Airlines straight to their home. Straight pick them up, escorted by the stewards. Who are the stewards on Vaikuntha Airlines, Garuda Airlines? The Vishnu Dutas. They are the stewards there. They welcome. It's alight. No need to bother about arrangement. No need to bother about time. Whenever they leave, the Vaikuntha Vimana comes, picks them up. Straight to Golok Vrindavan. No need for airport. No need for check-in counter. Nothing needed. No need to go through immigration, line up, sit, all nothing. Straight home, pick up, straight going to Krishna Loka. Go and embrace Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. That is Krishna's special arrangement. Isn't that what happened to Tukaram Maharaj? And Tukaram Maharaj, the great saint of Maharashtra, was such a great devotee of Vitthal Pandurang. Yesterday was this beautiful tithi of Ashadi Ekadashi. So it's a very beautiful pastime. Maybe if you have a few minutes, we have 4-5 minutes. I think we can do. We have only one verse remaining from this chapter. So it's a very beautiful episode. But before I go into that story, Tukaram Maharaj, such a great devotee, he knew when the right time had come. He doesn't have to bother. He already started telling all those whom he knew, I'm going back home, I'm going back home. Ami zato amucha gawa, amucha rama rama ghyava. I'm going back to my home. Take my bye-bye. Please accept my bye-bye. And then the Vaikuntha woman came. And in front, it is said in front of the people in general, he sat on that Vaikuntha Viman and he was taken back home, back to Godhead. So we are not talking theoretical things. These are actual recorded incidents. Of course, unfortunately, we did not have mobile phones, smartphones at that time. Otherwise, we would have seen this WhatsApp video of Tukaram's enlightenment, doing the rounds on Ashadi Ekadashi. But we believe that on the basis of the verdict of the scriptures and the other saints that he departed in the self-same body. His material body became transformed into a spiritual one. And he directly went back to God. He didn't have to worry. I don't even know at that time whether it was, what the time conditions were. Because Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna, he is the master of the system. When he sends his personal plane doesn't bother about which flight, what time, which runway is open, which runway is not open, which check-in counter is, long line, nothing. He straight sends, picks up, straight back to his home. The Lord is not dependent on the scheme for all these things. He has the full veto power above everything else. He can override the system by his power, and he uses that for those who are exclusively devoted to him. And that is why in 8.28, he says, Krishna says, and I'm coming back to Pandharpur shortly. He says, Vedeshu yadneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam. So having described all this and the special place that the devotee has in the whole system, Krishna is telling Arjun, a person who becomes my devotee, one should not think that he doesn't attain the results of all other processes, whether it is study of the Vedas, whether it is performance of yajna, whether it is doing austerities, whether it is giving charity, whether it is deep philosophical study, or even various spiritual activities, any other processes of elevation. Simply by doing bhakti to me, the results of all those processes are automatically included within the result of performance of exclusive bhakti. He attains all these benefits of all these other processes and much more. Atyeti tat sarvam. Atyeti means he gets all that and he surpasses and goes beyond and gets more. Atyeti tat sarvam idam viditva. Having understood what I have just explained to you, Arjuna, in 7th chapter, 8th chapter, knowledge about me and the process of attaining me, my pure devotee, he surpasses all these other things because he has come to the right understanding and he has taken the right step, the right conclusive step of surrendering to me fully in pure devotion. And that is why such a yogi, such a bhakta yogi, yogi param sthanam upaiti chadyam, he attains the supreme destination easily and effortlessly. So bhakti is not just the easiest, it is also the safest, it is also the surest. Because Krishna will make sure that you reach your destination. You don't have to worry. All you have to do is just one thing. Ananyas chintayanto. Exclusively become his devotee. Simple. Simple, but not easy. Simple, but not easy. But if this simple thing we really persevere and follow the principles that the great pure devotees have given and in their association practice, then actually it is not difficult either. In the association of devotees, if we remain humble and become guided, then we can actually attain without much effort. That ocean of material existence, which for the other yogis seems insurmountable, becomes reduced to the size of the water contained in a hoof print of a calf, Goshpadi Krita, the Bhagavatam says, for those who are devoted to the Lord in pure devotion. So this is the beauty. So at the end of the day, at the end of the 7th and the 8th chapter, Krishna is ultimately saying that understand the knowledge about me as given in the 7th chapter and worship me in devotion and leave your body remembering me in pure devotion. All other things you don't worry. It's all my problem. I will make sure you come to me and I will make sure you transcend the ocean of material existence. Okay? So, that brings us to the end of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Just before we end and take questions, I also want to mention yesterday was the beautiful Tithi of Ashadi Ekadashi. So, the beautiful pastime of the appearance of Lord Vittal. So, it is said that the Ashadi Ekadashi Tithi is the day of the appearance of Vittal, deity in Pandharpur. So, the pastime is something like this. Now, this pastime, there may be some slight variations in the versions of this, but the essential agreement amongst all devotees is that the Lord Krishna and Rukmini Devi, they had visited Pandharpur when the Lord was manifest here in this world, just 5,000 odd years ago. In fact, in Pandharpur, when I visited many years ago, in fact, some places there are footprints of cows and Krishna's flute and a few other things which are still present on certain rocks in and around Pandharpur when Krishna visited 5,000 years ago. So Pundalik was a very great pure devotee of Lord Krishna, and Krishna was about to go back to Dwarka together with Rukmini because of some urgent business. So he decided to visit his great pure devotee Pundalik. Not a lot is known about the life of Pundalik, but he's accepted as a pure devotee. Obviously, he must be, otherwise, everybody wants to go and visit the Lord, but here the Lord is coming to visit him. So the Lord came to his house. So it is said that it was raining a lot, and he comes. But at that time, Pundalik had very aged parents, and these parents were also great pure devotees of the Lord. And he was busy engaged in taking care of them and serving them. So when the Lord came and called out the name of Pundalik, Pundalik came and opened the door and he saw the Lord. He was so happy and so blissful. At the same time, he was in the middle of taking care of these great devotees, his parents. And he knew that Krishna is most pleased when his devotees are served. Mad bhakta pujabhyo adhikaha. Greater than my worship is the worship of my devotees. In fact, the scriptures and the Smriti Shastras and Pancharatra says to the point that even if one is doing arti of the Lord, if one great devotee of the Lord enters in, if there is no one to receive that great devotee of the Lord, one should stop the arti, go and receive that devotee, take care of him, and then come back and continue the arti. That much importance is given to proper treatment of great souls. So his parents were not just ordinary parents. Because any parents are worthy of respect and service, but in this case it was very special. Because some people wonder, oh, why he neglected Krishna and took care of his parents. No, he understood this principle and his parents were pure devotees. But how to keep the Lord just waiting like this in the muddy place? So Pundalik told the Lord, he took some bricks, wheat. Marathi, the brick is called wheat. And he tossed it to the Lord and told him, oh Lord, please stand on this. Give me some time, I will just come. I'll just wind up and come. So the Lord said, okay. So the Lord stood on those bricks with his hand on his waist, waiting for Pundalik. So Pundarik went back and continued serving his parents. In fact, from the house, he opened the door and he asked his parents to take darshan of the beautiful Lord Pandurang, who was standing there. Krishna, Dwarkadish Krishna, standing there. He took darshan. But then for a long time, he didn't come out. And there is some version of the story. Again, I do not know whether all the details are correct, whether there are multiple versions, but there is a version which says that actually after taking darshan, Pundalik's parents passed away having seen the Lord by taking his darshan and went to the spiritual world. And Pundarik also apparently left his body after that. So he actually never came out. And the Lord was waiting, waiting, waiting. So the Lord, it is said, he decided to manifest, to honor this great pure devotee, Pundalik. It is said the Lord decided to manifest himself in that form, waiting for his devotee. With his hand, standing on the bricks, with his hand on his waist. And Krishna transformed from his personal form into a deity form there. So Krishna, wherever he was standing, he transformed into the form of Vitthal. Vitthal means that Lord who's standing on the wheat, on the brick. And Rukmini was standing and waiting at us a little distance apart. That's why you see Vitthal and Rukmini are not in the same temple. They are nearby, but in two separate altars, in two separate temples within the same complex. So the Lord says, to honor this great devotee, I will be here. So that shows that special affection. Why we are mentioning this? See how affectionate the Lord is and how much he honors his pure devotees. So it is said the day on which the Lord manifested in that self-manifested deity. So Pandharpur deity is not a carved deity which was installed. It is a Swayambhu. The Lord personally manifested himself as the deity. And such a special deity that, most deities you cannot go and touch the deity. Only the pujaris can do that. But in Pandharpur, you can go and literally place your head on the feet of the Pandurang deity, Vitthal. You can actually touch. So we were fortunate. Of course, millions and millions of devotees have done that. You can actually go and touch. It's a very beautiful deity of Vitthal next to the Chandrabhaga river. It's a very holy place. In fact, one of the brothers of Lord Chaitanya, he actually, Vishwarupa, it is said, he spent time in Pandharpur and his samadhi was in Pandharpur. He wound up his manifest pastimes in Pandharpur. It's a very special place. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also visited Pandharpur personally and he has danced in front of Lord Vitthal. So that is that beautiful pastime of the day of Ashadi Ekadashi. So that was the day those deities were manifested. And that is why in Pandharpur that day has very special significance. So even though in general it is called Shaini Ekadashi or Dev Shaini Ekadashi for the reasons we discussed earlier, but Ashad Ekadashi is especially important for Pandharpur for this reason. And that is why it is observed with great pomp. In fact, many devotees walk hundreds of kilometers from their respective villages in a procession, sometimes chanting and dancing, sometimes going barefoot to come and take darshan. So that system has been going on in Maharashtra now for hundreds of years. So that's a very wonderful thing. Okay, so having said that, we will stop here. So any questions, any comments on anything we have discussed? Mantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Okay, good. So wonderful. So we will meet on Saturday, where we will start chapter 29 of the third canto. So thank you to everyone. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, पंढरीनाथ विठ्ठल देव की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय।